Hello, my dear students. Today we shall study a chapter under plant physiology, and the chapter is absorption and conduction of water and minerals in plants. So let us get started. Absorption and conduction of water and minerals in plants. We know that plants require a number of materials from the outside environment, and the plant acquires these materials by different parts that it possesses. For example, the roots enable the plant to absorb water and minerals, and the leaves enable them to acquire the necessary gases that are required by the plant body. So in this chapter, we shall understand the mechanism by which plants will acquire the necessary elements from the external environment. But before we get into the details of how the plants acquire these materials, it is very important for us to understand some basic terminologies. So first of all, I would like to lead you into the basic terminologies, and these basic terms that are used will enable us with a better understanding of the mechanisms that we will study in this chapter for absorption and conduction of water and minerals in plants. So first of all, let's get into imbibition. Now, imbibition is a surface tension phenomena. So here, plant absorb water by surface attraction. It means when the plant is taking in water, first of all, the water lands on the surface of the plant body, that is the root. Now slowly from the root surface, the water gets into the interior cells of the root. So this phenomena where water first of all comes in contact with the surface of the plant body and then slowly gets into the plant body or into the plant cell is called imbibition. Surface tension phenomena. So from the surface, water gets absorbed into the plant body. A good example to understand this would be if we take a dry wood, a block of wood, and if we pour water above it, let's say these are water molecules. Now these water molecules first of all comes with the contact of the wooden block, and then slowly the water gets into the wooden block. And if it is left further, we will find that this block of wood will begin to swell. So this phenomena of the entry of the water from the surface of this given block of wood is referred to as imbibition. And this exactly happens in case of a living plant, especially in the roots which are deeply embedded in the soil, which is meant for absorption of water. So this phenomena whereby the plant acquires water through surface tension or surface attraction is called imbibition. Another good example which we generally see to understand imbibition would be normally during the rainy season, we find the wooden doors and windows gets jammed. Now, why is this happening? The very simple reason for this is the wooden doors and windows are in a dry state. So when the moisture content of the atmosphere becomes more, the moisture comes in contact with the wooden surface. Now slowly, this wooden surface will begin to imbibe water. And then what happens? The wooden doors and windows swells up. And thus, due to swelling, the wooden doors and windows during the rainy season gets jammed. This is happening due to the phenomena called imbibition. So this would be another example which will enable us to understand what is imbibition. The next term is osmosis. It is the movement of water molecules from a region of its higher concentration to a region of its lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Or it is the movement of water molecules from a solution having lower solute concentration into a solution having higher solute concentration. When the two solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. In this second definition, we should note that the movement of the water molecules is from a solution having lower solute concentration to a solution having higher solute concentration. So to understand this, we shall now try to understand it with a diagrammatic illustration where we take a container and this container is separating two solutions with the help of a semi-permeable membrane. So this one is a semi-permeable membrane in this container, and this semi-permeable membrane is separating two solutions. Now, according to this definition, let us try to understand the movement of the water molecules from a low solute concentration to a solution having higher solute concentration when the two solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. So let us assume that this solution and this solution differs in the concentration of the solute. Let us say this is 2% sugar solution. And let us say this one is 5% sugar solution. And the two solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. So the direction of flow of water from one solution to another solution, according to this definition of osmosis, is from a lower solute solution to a higher solute solution. Osmosis is of two types. One is called the endoosmosis and the other is called exoosmosis. During endoosmosis, water enter into the cell, whereas in exoosmosis, water comes out of the cell. Now, these two conditions play a very vital role in the plant body. Endoosmosis makes the plant turgid. That means the plant's cells become inflated, which enables the plant to stand erect. Exoosmosis. Exoosmosis means water comes out of the cell, and as a result of which the cell becomes flaccid or the cell becomes limp. Now, if there is continuous exosmosis taking place in the plant body, then the plant will undergo wilting. And if wilting continues, then the plant dies. So these two phenomena, endosmosis and exosmosis, plays a very significant role in the plant body. By now, we know what is endosmosis and what is exosmosis. But we should also know when will endosmosis take place and when will exosmosis take place. So there are two conditions, and the conditions depend upon the concentration of a solution in which the cell is immersed. So if a cell is immersed in a solution which is having lower solute concentration than the solution present in the cell, then water will enter from the solution into the cell. But if a cell is immersed in a solution where the solute concentration of that solution is more than the solute concentration of the cell, then the cell will begin to lose water. And we know what happens if a cell acquires water or if cell begins to lose water. So in this context, a phenomena is to be understood which is referred to as plasmolysis and deplasmolysis. Now, plasmolysis is the shrinkage of the protoplasm of a cell when the cell is immersed in a solution which has higher concentration of solute than that present in the cell. This means the solution in which the cell is being immersed or where the cell is being kept has a higher solute concentration, which means water will move from a region of lower solute concentration to a solution containing higher solute concentration. That means comparatively, if we see this condition, here we see the cell is having lower solute concentration. That means this cell which is immersed in this solution which is having higher solute concentration will begin to lose water, as a result of which the cell will begin to shrink. This shrinkage of the cell when kept in such a solution which is having higher solute concentration than the cell is called plasmolysis. And such a solution which is having higher solute concentration than the cell is called hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution. So what is a hypertonic solution? A hypertonic solution is one which has a higher concentration of solute than that present in the cell. Next, deplasmolysis. Deplasmolysis is the reverse of plasmolysis. Now, if a plasmolyzed cell, if a plasmolyzed cell is immersed or kept in a solution having lower solute concentration than that of a cell, then the cell will absorb water and slowly get inflated. So in this condition, what is happening? The plasmolyzed cell is being immersed in a solution which is having lower solute concentration than that present in the cell. As a result of which, once again, by definition of osmosis, water moves from a solution having lower solute concentration to a region of higher solute concentration. So here the cell is having a higher concentration of solute compared to this solution in which the cell is being immersed. So as a result of which, water from this solution begins to enter into the cell, and slowly in due course of time, the cell begins to reattain its shape and size. It is not mandatory that we need to put the cell in a solution having lower solute concentration. We can simply put this cell in plain water. In plain water also, the plasmolyzed cell slowly begins to acquire water, imbibe water, and then the cell reattains its original state or condition. And when we are talking about this solution which is having lower solute concentration than that of the cell, such a solution is called hypotonic solution. A hypotonic solution is one where the solute concentration of the solution is less than that of the cell. So in one condition, that is in the case of hypotonic solution, the cell undergoes plasmolysis. And the same cell which is plasmolyzed will undergo deplasmolysis in a hypotonic solution. Next we come to diffusion. It is the movement of ions or molecules from a region of its higher concentration to the region of its lower concentration. It means movement of molecules or ions through a medium from a region of its higher concentration to the region of its lower concentration. And this process does not require a semi-permeable membrane. Please remember, in the case of osmosis, we had to understand the movement of the molecules from a region of higher concentration to a lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. But in this case, it is simply through a medium and does not require a semi-permeable membrane. And this can easily be understood with the help of an example, that is entry and exit of gases through the stomata in the leaves of the plant. We know that oxygen is produced by the plant, and this diffuses out into the external environment through the stomata. And we also know that carbon dioxide is necessary for the plants during the process of photosynthesis, and that carbon dioxide from the outside environment makes its entry into the plant body through the stomata. And both the entry and exit of oxygen and carbon dioxide is a process called diffusion. The next that we'll try to understand is active transport. It is the movement or transport of minerals from a region of its lower concentration to a region of its higher concentration with the expenditure of energy in the form of ATP by the cell. So here there are many materials, for example the mineral salts, which are present inside the cells of the roots in a higher concentration than that which is available in the soil. But still the plant acquires it from the soil into the cell of the roots. Now, to do such an act, which is against the concentration gradient, the cell will have to use its energy. And such a process where materials are being taken up from a region of its lower concentration to a region of its higher concentration requires expenditure of energy. So, in active transport, the plant cells acquire these minerals and salts from the soil simply by spending energy. This process is called active transport. Passive transport. It is the absorption of minerals from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration without the expenditure of energy. So here there is no expenditure of energy because in this process the minerals move from the soil into the plant body from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. And this is simple diffusion process. The next we come to osmotic pressure. It is the pressure developed in an osmotically active solution to stop the entry of water through a semi-permeable membrane from outside. This means when water begins to enter into a solution or a cell through osmosis, a pressure is developed, and this pressure prevents the further entry of water into the solution. That pressure which is developed in an osmotically active solution or inside a cell is referred to as osmotic pressure. The next we come to turgor pressure. It is the hydrostatic pressure developed inside a cell due to endosmosis and this pressure exerts pressure on the cell wall from within. It means when water begins to get inside the cell slowly begins to accumulate the water, as a result of which the continual entry of water into the cell generates hydrostatic pressure. This hydrostatic pressure begins to get impinged on the cell wall from inside. This impingement of the hydrostatic pressure onto the cell wall is referred to as turgor pressure. So it is nothing but a hydrostatic pressure developed inside a cell due to endosmosis, and this pressure exerts pressure on the cell wall from within. So if we consider this to be a cell, and if water continuously enter into the cell, there is a hydrostatic pressure developed. So let us consider these arrows to be the hydrostatic pressure. This pressure will be impinged on the cell wall. This pressure is called the Turgor pressure. And finally, we come to the root pressure. It is the pressure developed in the cortical cells of the roots due to entry of water and this pressure enables the lifting of water and minerals inside the plant body from the roots to the higher parts of the plant. So root pressure is also a hydrostatic pressure which is developed inside the cells, that is the cortical cells inside the root, and as a result of continuous entrance of water from the soil into the cortical cells then begin to transport this water into the higher parts of the plant body. So this enables the water to get lifted from the lower region of the plant body, that is from the roots, into the stem, and then further ahead in the plant body is nothing but root pressure. Since this pressure is developed in the roots, it is referred to as root pressure.